everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. Today we're going to be recapping The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 8, Episode 3, The Apology. This episode opens with a throwaway scene. Teresa, Joe Gorga, and Melissa moving their dad's furniture into Teresa's house because the dad's gonna live with Teresa now that his wife passed away. I'm sorry, are we really supposed to believe that they're actually doing the heavy lifting? I mean, they're bringing like an 800-pound dresser in and Melissa's, and Teresa, I'm gonna drop it. You guys hire a hair and makeup team every time you go to a party. You're telling me you didn't hire movers? Not buying it, not for a second. Then we have our obligatory scene shot in Envy, Melissa's store. Margaret and Danielle are there, and Margaret is inviting them to her launch party for a line of handbags or something like that. But why did that scene have to take place in Envy? Other than the fact that Bravo probably promised Melissa they would do like X number of scenes in her store. There was no point in either of them being there. We have another Dolores scene where she's complaining about Frank and Frankie getting along, and she babies Frankie so much. He's 18, and she says, Frank has to go easier on him. I don't want any trouble, and I'm gonna miss him. He's going off to college soon. And all I can think of is he though? Isn't Frankie the one who didn't even put in his applications for college? So I wouldn't worry too much if I were you, Dolores. You may have Frankie around for years to come. Siggy and Teresa are having a drink together, and why is Siggy blaming everything on Margaret? Margaret didn't even throw the cake, and that was kind of the catalyst for her anger in the first place. But for whatever reason, Siggy is like, all of her hatred is toward Margaret. And Siggy apologizes to Teresa for the things that she said in anger. She says she didn't mean it, like they're not animals and all that stuff. So Teresa then apologizes for throwing the cake, and things are good between them. But then Teresa tries to get Siggy to come to Margaret's launch party. And no, Siggy has some choice words for Margaret, and she is not gonna go. Oh, and it turns out that Margaret didn't call Siggy to invite her to come to the beach for that memorial. I swear, unless I heard it wrong, she's lying, because last episode she said, I tried reaching them and that Siggy wouldn't answer her phone. I know I didn't just make that up. Now, Margaret says she didn't call Siggy because I guess everybody knew the plan was to go to yoga in the morning and she wasn't there, so oh well. That's way different, Margaret. I was defending you last week, girl. So for that and several reasons, I guess, Siggy is not feeling Margaret at all. Bigger than life Siggy, who is telling Teresa how much she hates Margaret, is like, beware, no soul, pigtails, stay away. Oh, Siggy. So Teresa's efforts to get her to go are not going to happen. And it's bad when Teresa is the peacekeeper and voice of reason. That's bad. Okay, so Joe Gorga buys a restaurant without telling Melissa. Apparently to keep his dad busy. Yeah, that's what an 80-year-old man needs. The daily stress of running a restaurant. And here's an idea. Why don't you let Dad work at Envy? It would give Bravo even more of a reason to film in her store. Then we have one of those back and forths where we see the ladies getting ready for Margaret's party, and then we see Siggy and Dolores at Siggy's house, and then back and forth to the party and Siggy's house. We start with seeing the ladies getting ready, and like I said, Melissa's got her makeup person who came to her house. Then we go over to Siggy's, and then she and Dolores are having a pajama party. So Dolores comes over and they're wearing the same jammies and they've got their hair in pigtails. Then we jump to Margaret's party and Joe and Melissa and Teresa arrive and Margaret's mother answers the door. This door is 8 feet wide and 20 feet high. It's enormous. I don't know how that woman managed to muscle it open, but she opens the door. Then they walk in, the party's in full swing, her house is beautiful. Then we cut back to Siggy's house. The two of them have like those black charcoal face masks on, and they're sitting in these recliners, and Siggy is explaining to Dolores how far back the recliner goes and that you have to kind of push it back, and it just seemed really sad. And Dolores is like, well, this is much more fun than Margaret's party. Oh. Back to the party. The girls are having fancy drinks, and there's like a little henna tattoo station and lots going on there. Back to Siggy's. Dolores is like painfully ripping off this mask, and they're learning a new dance. At Margaret's party, the ladies have gone into the other room to talk. It's Melissa and Danielle and Teresa and Margaret. This is the most awkward seating arrangement I've ever seen. Melissa and Danielle are in these chairs that are almost behind the couch that Margaret and Teresa are sitting on. It wasn't like four girls sitting around talking together. It looked really weird. So Danielle talks Margaret into texting Siggy right then and there. That was a really bad move, doing it during your own launch party. Nothing says my party's boring and I've got nothing else to do more than texting a frenemy right in the middle of it. Definitely makes it seem like your party isn't very much fun. So back at Siggy's, she gets the text and she reads it aloud to Dolores. Basically, it's something like her saying, hey, it's weird that you're not here at my party because your friends are here that I met through you. And I really hope that we can get past all this stuff that's been going on between us. And I would love to meet you to talk about it. Let me know. XO Margaret. Immediately, Dolores goes, that was the most effing insincere text I've ever heard. Okay, Shannon. Sounds like somebody doesn't want your best friend to get back together with her other friend. And Siggy says, it's the nicest she's ever been to me. Dolores, that text makes me more angry than the act itself. And Siggy goes, why? And Dolores says, it's perfunctory. Siggy, huh? I would not have pegged Dolores as the one to know what the word perfunctory means, let alone use it in a sentence properly. But, you know, good on her. Siggy replies and says, yes, I would love to put this behind us. I hope your party's going well, and can we meet tomorrow at the diner? And then she sends it, and she goes, yeah, I sent it, but I'm not going to put XO Siggy. That seems phony. Okay. That's where Siggy draws the line. No XO for you, Margaret. The next day, Siggy and Margaret do meet at the diner, and they are both talking a mile a minute, and frankly, it was exhausting. I couldn't make heads or tails of what was happening. They were both kind of coming at each other. It wasn't vicious. It was just super fast and a lot going on, a lot of words coming out at the same time from both of them. At one point, Margaret tells Siggy she's sort of hypocritical for not really being a champion to other women. Siggy tells her that her calling her soggy flicker wasn't very funny, and Margaret's like, I'm very funny. And she goes, well, your timing was wrong. My timing is impeccable. I'm like Joan Rivers. And then Siggy says, I'm more like Joan Rivers. Then they get into this Joan Rivers thing. I mean, it's really impossible to follow along. They kind of each tell each other they should be on medication. And Siggy says, yes, I am on medication. I'm on hormone replacement therapy. Margaret's like, well, you should be on something because you're crying all the time. I think Siggy says, I'm getting pellets in my ass. Anyway, she goes, I'm getting pellets in my ass. You want to come? And Margaret says, no, thank you, but that sounds amazing. So, whatever happens, Siggy starts to actually really cry. And the way Margaret put it is, when Siggy's in front of a whole group of people, the crying is dramatic and over the top. But the fact that they were alone with each other and she was kind of more, I guess, sincerely crying, Margaret felt really bad. And this was the turning point for the conversation, because Margaret immediately softened, apologized, sincerely apologized, and she said, I don't ever want to make another woman cry, and I'm truly sorry. But she admits that she is going to make snide comments, and she is unapologetically obnoxious. And to her credit, Siggy says, well, okay, now that I know that, maybe I won't be so offended next time. We'll see. And that's how this episode ends. Thank you for joining me. Please join me back here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Time for the next recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. Please subscribe if you haven't, give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and comment down below. I love to hear from you. Till next week. Bye-bye.